people have intentionally unbolted some of our transmission lines and masts to create chaos and havoc. We will not allow you to destroy that which is for the growth and development of our country to benefit a few individuals' pockets. Hiyo hatutaruhusu.
Hiyo mita hapo situibie kwa. Ipe mita huko kwa plot.
Hapo na hizo viatu hizo chuma zinapanda na mshipi na plug. Unaona pipe yako tukufikisha hapa. Vile zima ni kukate.
From an outsider, the place looks shambolic and disorganized. But when you get there, there's a very clear structure.
Kibera inanishindana. Sasa sijini ya Kenya Power, sijini ya nani, kila mtu anasema stima yao.
Mounted on utility poles is a chain of power lines running through the streets, delivering electricity to millions of Kenyan households and businesses.
We have grown our road network almost 6 times, our power generation 40 times, connected more homes to electricity than any other country on the African continent.
Today, as the power switch goes on in many homes in the country, it lights up.
Kenya Meta.
Safe, affordable and reliable electricity and water connection are essential for all Kenyans, or at least they should be. For the hundreds of thousands living in informal settlements, connections to power and water are neither safe nor reliable. But there definitely is a network run illegally by a few.
Kama ni kebo unajua kuna mmoja ananiletea kebo. Kama ni moto unajua kuna mmoja ananitransferia line. Ama ni aje kunaendanga.
Hata iko siku sisi tunacheza kama sisi.
Kuna kwambia kila mtu ni Kenya Power.
From Kibera and Mathare ghettos, we have on record a number of people either involved in or pointing to the existence of these dubious dealings. What we found is just a small part of what could be hundreds of people involved in vandalizing utility infrastructure and the supply of unauthorized water and power services.
Matokeni zilikuja watu waliuzi. Hata ukiangalia hizi vikingi, kulikuwa na mamboksi za matokeni. Hata ndio zile zimeangi huko.
Na sasa kuna wale makartels tu wa kutoboa hiyo pipe. Maji sasa yenyewe. Yeye anakuzia maji yenye ashatoboa. Sasa unaenda tu na fix pipe yako.
Usipoalipa si wanakujenga, usiwanakataka.
Kenya Power is a poster child of the energy ecosystem in Kenya, involved in the distribution of electricity to consumers. But the company is one part of a complex system.
The electricity has a value chain that runs from generation. You then generate the power, you then move that power from where it is generated to where it is required through transmission. This is the high voltage power lines that you see. You then step it down from an engineering standpoint and then distribute it in the localities and then retail it, which is now the pure commercial function of selling power to you and I as consumers.
But as demand for electricity rises, so do opportunities for corruption in Kenya's energy sector.
By the time we're shouting at Kenya Power, there's been a whole network of failures, starting from the generation of electricity to its transmission, to its distribution and sale.
We will get to this a little later in the episode, but for now, back to power distribution. At this level, through transformers, power is stepped down before it's circulated to the people through distribution lines. Ideally, this is how the process should work. But then some devious individuals have managed to tap into Kenya Power's transformers to illegally connect electricity to consumers at more affordable rates.
Kiangalia kwa hii mtaa, kuna mpaka wale watu wenye wame transformer. Ana control transformer yote. Na hiyo, anaongananga kitu kila mwezi.
This is what is happening at scale in Nairobi's informal settlements.
Na ule mtu ameapply, stima na akapewa mita. Wakati amepewa mita hivi, wakati anahusia watu wengine bila hiyo stima kulipiwa, huyo ana broke. Cartel ni wale watu sasa, akishaweka stima hapo, hata watu wa power, Kenya Power yenyewe haiwezi ruhusiwa kuja kwa access stima yao. Makateli wanakataa.
Hiyo nao wanapinga dozi. Sasa wao wanasema acha wafanye. Sisi hatujatuma mtu akuja aitishe ndo. Lakini sasa hiyo tunataka nao kana stima.
So, who are all these people? What do they do and how do they operate in this informal power structure? In this episode, we uncover some illegal electricity networks from both Kibera and Mathare. That is the voice of an administrative officer addressing this man. To an outsider, it may look like a sanctioned power maintenance operation, except it isn't. He is not a Kenya Power official.
Umeona hiyo moto imetoka hapo?
Penye nimefungua box. Fungua viatu.
Umejua hiyo moto imetoka hapo?
Penye nimefungua box hiyo nilikuwa na find the problem there.
It doesn't matter what time of the day it is. In Nairobi's ghettos, this is not an unusual scene. Donned in different colored overalls and others in plain clothes, you'll often see men like these busy at work.
Anapanda tu huko juu akiweka mawaya. Maiva. Hata ni kama imewashinda. Juu akishaweka chokora hapo. Ikifika jioni hiyo ni nini na nifuka.
One of the striking features of this unlawful enterprise is that it's hardly ever a one-man operation.
Kwanza ukipata mmoja hapo. Kina amesimama hapa.
Take this man for instance. As he casually handles the power lines on this pole, below him, the ground is buzzing with activity. Supporting the hanging power cables from the ground is this man. Observing from a distance is this other man. He's not a bystander. He's part of the ongoing operation. The man in a grey t-shirt is in on it too. They are not just issuing instructions to the man on the pole. They are also keeping watch for Kenya Power officials and other authorities. This is a more general view of how most, if not all, these operations are executed. But let's break it down a little further. Due to security concerns for some of our investigators, we will hide the identities of a few cartel members who got into very close interactions with them. One of the networks we found revolves around this man, William Opio. William has on occasion claimed to be a Kenya Power contractor. We have found no evidence to back his claim, but have observed him again and again as he plays a central role in establishing electricity connections in Kibera.
Kibera unaona kama sehemu hii hata hii kuna ile sehemu ya saba.
In this clip, William seemingly insinuates that he plays a role in electricity connections in a couple of areas around Kibera. And as though to prove his point, behind him there is this man on a power pole going about his work. In another clip, William claims that his operations, especially those that involve much more money, are often known at the company.
35-40 hata security wanajua wa Kenya Power, lazima watajua, lazima niwaambie nafanya kazi fulani. Ndio sasa hata kama kuna mtu atapiga simu aseme kuna kazi nafanya, wakipiga huko wanapata ile julikana, kumwambia wachini afanye kazi yake.
Organized and connected as he seems, the business is not always plain sailing.
Maskari wako karibu mahali huyu anataka fanya. Sasa inanibidi niende niwalambishe kitu ndio nifanye hiyo kazi.
And as is the nature of this trade, he too doesn't work alone.
Sasa nikutume mahali unione kama utafanya hiyo kazi, kama iwezekani wewe utamwambia iwezekani, ameniweka pampa.
William alleges to have a group of pole climbers who either do connections for him or collaborate with him. The phone call you just overheard was with one of them.
Hata zingine wanafanya sijui. Lakini sasa ile mtu ameshikwa ndo unasikia tu mzai nimeshikwa hivi ni utolewe. Hata sasa hivi najua ile kitu wanafanya.
But as with many cartels, there is no honor among his associates.
Kwa hiyo mtu amepewa pesa leo, amemwekea stima leo, usiku anakata. Sasa inamaanisha hata ndio uende upewe wengine. Kwa nini pesa unaokota kweli? Hiyo mbaya.
This is what the network of an individual in the electricity connection business in the slums could potentially look like. It is based on the evidence we managed to get by the time of this publication. The possibilities, however, could be endless. William might be at the center of this particular network, but he also seems to report to a higher authority.
Yeye anatupangia sasa amekuja. Ndio tunangojea next week atupanga.
Most of the slum dwellers often live on the margins of the law. With limited resources and lack of options, they often depend on the ghetto cartels who offer these services cheaply and illegally, thus becoming captive to criminal networks.
I see the relationship between the informal and the formal really as one system. But of course, I think the difference is that the informal system is not backed by law. It's really, in many cases, backed by power. And that power is not regulated, it is not negotiated. What you have essentially is people just pushing their interest at the expense of others.
Ni vigumu makarao kupata watu. Namba 2, makarao pia wanakulia. Baba akijua fulani huwa anauza stima na hana mita, makarao wakipitia hapo wanachukua yao. So ni vigumu mahali wewe unakulia pia kwenda kuharibu. Ni vigumu sana watu kama machifu kuwa involved kwa mambo ya stima. Babu, kitu cha kwanza, chief ako hana bunduki, hawezi enda kwa kijiji.
There are often others lurking in the shadows operating in more dangerous operations.
Hiyo gari wanajenga ama sansi au unawajenga hiyo product. Ukitaka kujitoa ndani au ni wapangani au ni wapangwa. Na anatoka siku ni zangu.
Those are confessions from 2 power cartel members in the same network from Mathare. They are sharing about alleged operations involving police officers attached to the Pangani police station. In the 2 separate conversations filmed on different days, they explain how they purportedly seek police security during some of their operations. That service, though, doesn't come cheap. The chat goes on for a while, but at the end of it, we learn that it could cost them up to 5,000 shillings or more for police protection on a single operation. But depending on the job, that amount could be even higher. For one to succeed in this business, protection from different people in authority is necessary. And like William's network, theirs is much bigger and involves community leaders, administrative officers, and many other cartels. Due to the sensitivity of this matter, we cannot reveal networks that may expose and endanger our sources. In the slums, money changes hands a lot, and sometimes it happens in plain sight.
Makarau wanakula kutoka Olympic. Makarau Olympic wa kukule, kuna hii wapale juu hapo bypass pale. Kuna Wajamuri, kuna Walang'ata.
Kila mtu anajuaga shughuli zenye aliingia, hawezi kuambia shughuli ilifika. Sasa kumaanisha wewe uko na bahati juu kwanza kwa leo umenipata shughuli. Sasa tunaweza ongea tu na wewe shughuli namba simu. Niende niongee na wakubwa wangu wawili watatu. Waone venye unashughulikiwa. Hiyo nayo ina.
But this is not just an informal settlements problem. In the ghettos, the existence of these acts of corruption are a creation of Nairobi's urban governance failures. But it also points to a much deeper problem that eventually impacts the socio-economic development of the country.
Water supply companies in the country are losing 113 billion litres of water worth 10.4 billion shillings annually to leakages and theft.
I think the statistic I seem to remember was for Nairobi, something like 50% of the water is just frittered away by broken pipes, and many of those broken pipes are not age-related issues. They're actually people breaking pipes, and that there is a cost to that.
A lot of these are illegal acts, and it's clear what happens. But unless you employ a rule of law, which then means you tame corruption, I don't think that their officials at Kenya Power and Lighting Company are not aware of what's going on. I think they are aware. I'm not convinced that politicians, governors, and what have you are not aware of what is going on. But then perhaps the question they're asking is at what cost? What do I gain, by taming this?
Many people don't understand much is what is the cost of illegal tapping to the electricity industry or to the energy industry. Just by illegally tapping this electricity line, multiply this by 5 million people, and then there's a macro impact that actually raises the cost of electricity or raises the cost of water.
Have we seen organizations or industries shutting down, complaining about the cost of energy? Have we seen Kenya Power, a monopoly on the distribution of energy to consumers, complaining about its income and revenues? Have we seen KenGen, that is one of the generators in the country, boasting of making a grand profit? So what's happening?
Influenced by supply, demand and taxation, the cost of electricity in Kenya has been particularly unstable over the years.
That you invite the twin ministers of petroleum and energy, so that they can also answer questions on the issue of escalating electricity costs in this country.
The Ministry of Energy has reassured Kenyans of the efforts to make electricity more affordable.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced a reduction in the cost of electricity in a bid to make life more bearable.
And what we're doing here today is to bring all the Wakenya who've been able to work together and come together to unite around the common goal of fighting for affordable electricity in Kenya.
Switch Off KPLC is a consumer protection campaign started on social media in 2018 following an outcry over corruption inside Kenya's only electricity distributor, Kenya Power.
So they overbill you, then they expect you to pay for it, and then ask you to claim after you have paid. How does a normal household have a bill of 30,000, 300,000?
All the customers who were affected bought those tokens at a discounted amount knowingly. All of them, from the fraudster. Yes, okay. My staff.
A couple of years and scandals later, the cost of electricity is still weighing consumers down.
I want to say it without fear of contradiction that in 2019, so that they can hear us, KPLC spent 15 times more to buy power from the independent power producers, even compared to KenGen, which is a government entity.
we're not just dealing with a company that mismanages electricity consumers. We're not just dealing with a company that overbills electricity consumers, fails to provide connections. You can't buy your tokens, you can't pay. So it's not just that. It started somewhere.
Charged with generation or production of electricity in Kenya is the Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KENGEN, together with the independent power producers. In charge of power transmission is the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, KETRACO. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Commission, EPRA, is responsible for the pricing of power. And finally, at the consumer-facing level is Kenya Power, responsible for the distribution and supply of electricity in the country.
Power producers, even if they don't generate, they don't sell to KPLC, they earn billions of shillings in the name of capacity charges. These charges are transferred to the ordinary bills of the Kenyan citizens.
This is impunity. So we look at it, if you go to health, if you go to water, if you go to transport and infrastructure, if you go to agriculture, every ministry, department and agency has its entire system of shape-shifting corruption. And this is one of the things we want to bring to an end. When I think about the widespread corruption within the energy sector, and in the 4 or 5 years I've been involved in the Switch Off KPLC Energy Justice campaign, we've seen many heads roll. Oh, so-and-so was fired, such and such head of procurement, or in charge of this, or HR. You see heads rolling. My question is, where do they roll to? I think we still have, across the board, and this is not just energy, this is across the whole space of governance within the framework of the executive, we have a massive issue when it comes to corruption. And I think it is systemic, it is structural, it's also values-based.
Corruption in Kenya has long shaken the public's faith in governance, but it's the culture of impunity that has normalized and generated avenues for numerous and unbridled corrupt practices.
Sitaisha tu kama watu wa Kenya Power watakuwa serious kwa ile kazi wanafanya, wafanye kazi yao vile inatakana, itaisha. Lakini bila hiyo sioni.
But what is the real cost of corruption? In the next and final episode of this series.
Stima ilipotea last year mwezi wa 9. Si tuliamka tu tukaona polisi wamekuja, wameanza kutoa transformer.
Crime ceases to be just a thing of I'm looking for food. It also becomes a way of fighting back to this society that has disenfranchised me.
This is just a collection of a few of what we managed to get on the ground.
Do you, as Nairobi Water, know who these cartels are?
You know,
Hi, my name is Joy Kirigia. I am a producer and reporter at Africa Uncensored. Thank you for watching this video to this point and for being our #1 supporter. We value you. To maintain our independence and continue to bring you in-depth stories, we need your financial support. We are requesting that you become a member of our channel or a Patreon on Patreon right now. The link with the instructions is on the screen and the description below. Alternatively, you can send us an Mpesa directly using the instructions below. Thank you.